G'day, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be looking at what's happening in the markets, checking in on some key indicators, seeing which tokens are making moves. We'll be unpacking some of the latest headlines and having a general look at what's happening around the crypto domain. So let's get into it and start with some of the numbers. If we look at the dominance today, we can see dominance is at 61.3, so dominance is starting to move. It's good. We've seen a bit of green in the market. We've seen Bitcoin moving over the last 24 hours. We've got a total market cap at 2.8, so that's up on the last few days. 24-hour volume is up to 92.6 billion. Now, we know that was probably about half of that yesterday, maybe a little bit more than half. We can see that the Coinbase app ranking has improved slightly to 384, still a long way from where we're looking at it finishing to be an indicator for the top of the market. Fear and greed has improved to 39, so that's better than last month, better than last week, and obviously an improvement on yesterday. So we're starting to maybe see a little bit of a turn in that fear and greed index. We're back in business with the ETF flows as well, so they've improved after the weekend when the markets were closed. We can see on the Monday US time, we've had net of 106 million inflows. Overall, the indicators have slightly improved in general. We can see the Pi cycle top still sitting at that 0.59 where it's been for the last 3 days, but the other indicators are slightly improving, which is sort of an indication of where we've seen the market over the last 24 hours anyway. Today, the indicator we're going to have a look at is the NUPL, so the net unrealized profit loss. It shows whether most people holding Bitcoin are in profit. It sort of helps to understand if the market is feeling greedy or fearful, and can give clues if closer to the top or if we're closer to the bottom. It's basically the market cap, so the current market cap less the cost market cap. So that would be the total supply by the prices that were paid to acquire that supply. And then we divide that by the market cap. So if it's greater than zero, it means in general, the holders are in profit. And if it's less than zero, well, they're in a loss. So, we can see these periods through here, around that November time of 2022, which we know was around the bottom of the market, was obviously below zero, therefore we're in a loss. And if we come back and we look at some of the previous cycles, so if we look at like 17, the peak in 17, around that December 17, we can see it got to, let's call it 0.8. If we then have a look at the 21 cycle, earlier on, around that February, March time, it got to 0.75, let's call it. As we moved out here, we're at 0.6. If we look back at that 13 cycle as well, and we look at the top, we're at 0.8. So really around that 0.8, 0.75 is where we've seen it historically at the top of the market, or around that top of the market timing. Again, we're never going to pick the exact top. We're never going to pick the exact bottom. We're just trying to use these indicators as a guide. And again, we never use just one indicator. We use a variety of indicators in making our decisions. But if we look at where we are, so again, we've seen probably a slight downtrend in that indicator over the cycles. So if we look at, let's say, this current cycle that we're through, going on that principle, we've gone from around the 0.8s to the 0.75 in the 2021 cycle. This cycle so far, we've seen a 0.64 and we've seen a 0.63. So again, are we going to see this indicator move higher during this cycle, or have we seen the peak of this indicator? And this goes back to, some people are in the school of thought that maybe we've seen the peak of this cycle. And we're actually now in that downtrend, which again, as I've said previously, if the peak was around January and it was at 108K for Bitcoin, that would mean, based on historical 12 months from peak to trough, January 26 would be a really key time to be looking at the indicators as a potential accumulation. But it also means that the 4-year cycle is now changed as well, so slightly out of whack. But yeah, that's how we look at that. So at the moment, I'm still in the camp of the second half of this year. We will hopefully see some improvement in these indicators. Still looking at around, above that 0.6, 0.7, closer to that 0.8. But, time will tell. Let's look at the top 100 in the market today. So we can see Bitcoin has had a reasonable move over the last 24 hours. It's been sitting around that 84, 85 for a few days. We're now up to 87, so it's a 3% increase on the 24 hour. Let's have a look at some of the others. Avalanche, 3.5. Stellar's at 4.8. Squeeze made a little bit of an improvement as well. As we scroll down, what else can we see? Still a bit of a mix of red and green. Casper's made that move, 9%. That's good. Again, they've got a release in May. Might be the 5th of May next month. That could be helping them. I mean, obviously the market is improving in general, but that could be helping them. They're now up in the 8-cent range. Let's see if they can hold that. Puell 5.3. Actually, what'll be interesting? Let's have a look at those AI plays that have been seeing a fair bit of green lately. So Potenza didn't get the green in the last 24 hours. Render also hasn't had the green. FET has a little, so 1.4%, a little bit of a move. Stacks 14.1. That's quite a move. That's a layer 2 scaling solution for BTC, so it's like the smart contracts, dApps. It can be used for DeFi, NFTs, and other use cases. And Fartcoin continues to show the green. So that's the 100. Let's have a quick look at the crypto bubbles. So what are we seeing here? We've already spoken about cash. We've got Mana down here. So that's the metaverse, which was quite a big narrative in the last cycle. Things like Sandbox, Mana, it's Sui, Dexy. So I did end up having a look at that after yesterday. Apparently it facilitates the creation and management of DAOs. Now, I don't know about you, but there was a lot of talk about DAOs in the last cycle, right? And voting on. I personally don't think retail investors care. I don't think a DAO is a narrative that is going to take off this cycle. I don't think a retail investor wants to be voting on things. I don't think they care about voting on things. I think they're here for the money. They're here for number go up. And I don't see that as a narrative that's going to take off this cycle. Pepe getting a little bit of love, which is good to see. Let's have a look at the 200 to 300. Right, so white. So white is White Rock, obviously a play on BlackRock. It's RWA, and again, it's designed to tokenize the traditional finance. So the stocks, the bonds, the derivatives, property, things like that. So TEL we touched on yesterday. Good to see Brett up a little. It's only 3.3. I can, the next 10 minutes I can drop back down. Pendle. We're not really seeing that bounce yet. It's probably too early. But on that mantra. ARC, I'm having a pullback on yesterday slightly. We've got snack in there as well. And let's look at the 200 to 300. Ergo again. Engine again. So Coddy looks like it's pulled back from that little bit of an improvement it had yesterday. Audio, so that's a decentralized music streaming. Scale claims to be the world's fastest blockchain. So it's designed, it's on Ethereum. It's not designed to secure Ethereum, apparently. I'm not sure if it's the fastest. I know it's fast, and I think the gas fees are 0, which is why I think it might have been one of the ones that people were talking about for gaming, because it's fast, it's cheap, or cheap or 0 fees. I'm not quite sure. Turbo, good to see Turbo making a bit of a move, 6.5%. And let's get into the first news article for today. So Michael Saylor's strategy buys 6,556 Bitcoin for 555.8 million. I think we're always going to see something about MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin, because as Michael Saylor has said, he will continue to buy. When Bitcoin's $1 million, the current price is cheap. So strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, is continuing its aggressive Bitcoin accumulation in 2025. The company has purchased another 6,556 Bitcoin for 555.8 million, an average price of 84.785 per coin as of April 20. Strategy's total Bitcoin holdings have reached 538,200 BTC. The company has spent a total of 36.47 billion on its BTC stash. Average acquisition price of 67.766, so well in profit. In 2025 alone, Strategy has already seen a Bitcoin yield of 12.8%, reflecting strong returns on its crypto investment strategy. MicroStrategy stock has soared over 133% in the past year, outperforming major tech and crypto assets such as Tesla, Bitcoin, Nvidia, and Apple. So it's quite funny, right? Because if you remember, Michael Saylor presented to the Microsoft board about investing in Bitcoin, which they decided against, but potentially they should have taken that option. Okay, next article. Galaxy Digital withdraws 95 million in Sol for exchanges. Galaxy Digital withdrew approximately 95 million of Sol from crypto exchanges in the last 7 days, according to the PA News report on April 21. It indicates Galaxy Digital's investment confidence in Solana. The action reflects strategic interest in long-term holdings, reducing sell-side pressure. As Michael E.M., analyst at Galaxy Digital, noted, the withdrawal of Sol highlights our confidence in Solana's network stability and growth potential. We believe in staking as a strategy for long-term value. I mean, what it does show the confidence, as I said, and as we see with moves. So if we watch moves from exchanges to wallets, it generally means they're not looking to sell or trade in the immediate short term, right? So they're moving it for the medium to long term to their cold storage generally. So that often means, you won't get that sell pressure. Next one. So Trump's pressure on the Fed may influence rate decisions, experts say. Potentially, and this can be an issue obviously because the Fed is independent of the government. So Francesco Bianchi, an economist professor at Johns Hopkins University, has expressed skepticism about US President Donald Trump's likelihood of following through on his threat to dismiss Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. I mean, it would set a precedent and not a good one, if he can even do it. Bianchi notes that Trump's public campaign to push for interest rate cuts could still exert pressure on the Fed's decision-making process. Bianchi believes Trump will not act on his threat, primarily because Powell's term is set to end in about a year. The chaos that would ensue from replacing Powell would outweigh any potential benefits, and such a move would lead financial markets to anticipate further interest rate hikes. Yeah, I can't see it happening either. And we'll finish off on this one for today. Metaplanet tops 400 million Bitcoin holdings with new 28 million purchase. So we're seeing quite a few companies coming in and buying Bitcoin, right, and adding it to their reserves. Japanese investment firm Metaplanet increased its Bitcoin holdings to more than 400 million after its latest purchase. Metaplanet acquired 330 Bitcoin for 28.2 million at an average price of 85.6 per BTC, or 85.6, sorry, 05 thousand. Brings total holdings to 4,855 Bitcoin worth 414 million. The firm's Bitcoin yield surpasses 119% year to date after its latest investment. Metaplanet issued 2 billion Japanese yen worth 13.3 million of bonds to buy more Bitcoin on March 31. Emmanuel Cardozo, a market analyst at the asset tokenization platform Bricken, the growing institutional presence of firms such as Strategy and Tether is accelerating the 4-year cycle. That puts the bottom around Q3 this year and the peak mid-2026. Again, just someone's opinion. Everyone has one. I feel majority of opinions still are with the cycle and with, a second half, maybe Q4 peak. But, no one knows. That's the thing, right? It's like the Magic 8 Ball. No one knows this cycle. Best you can do, in my opinion, is look at a variety of indicators and make an educated guess, because that's all you're really doing. Or buy quality utility coins that will be here through cycle, like Bitcoin or Solana at the moment, Cardano. Things that will be here longer term. I'd potentially even put Casper into that bucket. It's because it's so decentralized, but it's stuff that if you miss the peak, it will be there for the next cycle, because 90% of the stuff that's out there will not be here and will not recover from a bear market. The latest acquisitions are part of Metaplanet's plans to accumulate 21,000 BTC by 2026, aligning with its mission to drive Bitcoin adoption across Japan. Often dubbed Asia's MicroStrategy, Metaplanet has drawn comparisons to Michael Saylor's company Strategy, which continues to top the list of public Bitcoin holders. And let's leave it there. So that's it for today's look around the crypto domain. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, make sure to give the video a like, drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you're new to crypto or just want to have a solid refresher, check out our brand new Block to Basics education series. We'll be posting regular episodes over the next month to help you get your head around the blockchain, one block at a time. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.